I'm going to talk about today how you can be healthy, not just for part of your life, but your whole life. Do you know that we were meant to be healthy from the day we're born until we close our eyes and die? And the kind of death we should all hope for is the kind where we close our eyes and we don't wake up, instead of battling a disease or losing our minds or having our family watch us suffer until the very end. Welcome to the Let's Talk Shit podcast. I am your host, Lisa Garrett. I am a wife, mom of 4 boys, 2 German Shepherds, and I'm a gut and psychology practitioner. Look, I know you've done all the things with diet and exercise, and I also know that your health means the world to you. I'm going to show you how your gut health is the game changer to your weight, your confidence, and your stamina. So if you're ready to become the shit in your life, then let's jump in. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Shit. Okay, so I want to share something with you that just happened today, and it's when these things happen, especially on social media, I always think, oh my gosh, like I don't want to offend anybody and I don't want to piss anybody off. But at the same time, I am on there to be a force about gut health and nutrition. That's it. And everything that I preach, protocols I write, detoxes, all the things that I suggest to my clients, I have already done. I have not taken every single supplement, but I walk the talk, right? So, and that's what makes me different than a lot of people who just hand out advice. I actually have been through some shit on my own with my health, with my boys' health, now my dog's health. And that's, I feel like my mission in this podcast is to inspire people to also make some changes in their life so that they are healthier, because when you're healthier, you're happier. I mean, right? Nobody's happy when they're sick. Even, if you've had a cold, the flu, or you have an autoimmune disease, or you deal with joint pain in your knee or your hip or migraines or depression, you don't feel at your best. It's impossible. But when you do feel better, you are happier. And that's really the mission in it all. Because if every person I work with becomes healthier, they become happier, the world just becomes that much happier. It's a simple concept. So there is a post on Instagram, and it's a video, and it's a reel, and I'm eating some eggs. I have my laptop, my glasses, and I'm dipping some bread in the yolk. And the hook is, just sitting here eating my eggs and bread, even though I have an autoimmune disease, and here's how I can eat bread. And so I talk about having celiac and how I can eat my homemade bread. Well, I had someone respond and say, wait a minute, if you have celiac, how are you eating bread? And I'm like, okay, this is good because this is a good question. So I respond with, yeah, I am, and I do have celiac, and I was diagnosed 20 years ago, and I can eat bread. And she said, this is dangerous. You shouldn't be spreading that information for people, blah, blah, blah. And, you're just trying to make a buck. And I'm like, no, this is for real. I have celiac. These are the steps, I've taken in my life. I make my own bread. And, do you have celiac? She didn't respond to me. And then she came back again and said, and she tagged all these other celiac hashtags. I'm like, thank you for sharing. Please come to my workshop. And I didn't hear back from her. So I think it's important to just address it in my podcast, because I am not making a claim that I no longer have celiac. Actually, I'm going to go get tested. I just don't want to do the endoscopy. I don't want to be under anesthesia. So I'm going to talk to my doctor when I see him here in February and set up something where I can maybe do a blood test to confirm whether I have celiac or not. I feel like I kind of don't. I don't know. 20 years since I was diagnosed, I have really been healing my gut that long. Every time I eat, I heal my gut. I'm not saying I haven't cheated. I'm not saying I haven't, eat things. But like 2 years ago when we were in Mexico, I remember being down at the pool and they were making homemade pizzas, like personal pan pizzas. And it was the end of the day. And oh my gosh, they smelled so good. And I said, Jim, let's get a pizza. Let's get two. And he goes, yeah, but they're not gluten-free. I'm like, that's okay. And so I just ate it. I ate my personal pan pizza and I was like licking my fingers. It was so good. And you know what? I never had a stomach ache. Nothing went wrong. I didn't have any bloat. I didn't have any stomach pain. I wasn't in the bathroom. And the next day, Jim was like, so how's your gut? I'm like, it's fine. I mean, I didn't go eat pizza the next day. So I shared a lot of that in my content 2 years ago in my emails and things about, when your stress is lower, you actually digest better. You produce more hydrochloric acid. Your cortisol is lower. Everything in the body is more balanced. So for me to go off my, gluten-free plan and eat a pizza in Mexico at the beach was freaking phenomenal. So I'm going to talk about today how you can be healthy, not just for part of your life, but your whole life. Do you know that we were meant to be healthy from the day we're born until we close our eyes and die? And the kind of death we should all hope for is the kind where we close our eyes and we don't wake up. Instead of battling a disease or losing our minds or having our family watch us suffer until the very end and just withering away. And I think we have really lost sight of that with all the medical advances and all of the tests that tell us, based on these numbers, you're subject to this percentage to get breast cancer, to have Alzheimer's. Because when you go into the doctor and you do a health history, they're basically gathering those numbers and giving you percentages that you could or could not get a disease, which is very alarming, which raises your cortisol. I wish they would stop doing that. I think we all know that if someone in your family has a disease, that there is a genetic thread. That doesn't mean you have the genetic code, but it means there's a possibility. And I had one of my cousins reach out to me about cancer, breast cancer. And my aunt died of breast cancer. My grandmother had ovarian, and which is so weird way back then. I mean, it's so weird. But so she was asking, because she went in for her first mammogram, and she was asking me about, do any of my siblings have cancer, because they need it for the health history. And I said no. And then she told me that they told her, based on the current family history, that she has a 50% chance of getting breast cancer. And right away I was like, are you kidding me? How cruel to do that to someone, because now she's a young mom. She has 2 little boys. One of them has had his own set of health issues, and now she has to think about this. Like, not that it's not on your radar, but I mean, come on. You know what I mean? Like, come on. So the whole thing just, I don't know, it made me unnerved. So I thought, I'm going to do a podcast about how you can be healthy your whole life. And instead of focusing on the diseases you might get, because your aunt, your mother, your brother, so-and-so. I'm not saying they're not real, but if you focus on that, it's almost like you create it. It's like you manifest it. And so there's an old saying, like, what you fear, you create, right? So if you focus on the opposite, which is, I'm going to be as healthy as I can for as long as I can, and I'm going to age gracefully. Well, that's a whole different manifestation from, I could get this disease, this disease, this disease, this disease. So I broke it down into 4 areas that you could focus on being healthy your whole life. Not just when you're young, I'm almost 60, so people say, oh, well, when I was in my 30s, I blankety blank. And that's true. I mean, I did things in my 30s I wouldn't do now. And was I healthier? Actually, no. I think I was worse off in my 30s. I don't know. Can you say that? Or were you healthier? I don't know. That's something to think about. Like, what was your health like? When you're a woman having babies, they want to see you for every appointment and you're in their system. And then you're done having babies. And once you hit menopause, they're like, see you when you have a disease, pretty much. At that point, you're not going for well checks. You're just going for what you need help with. And they want you to come in for every test and shot and diagnostic possible because you met the threshold, the age threshold. So now you need a DEXA scan. Now you're doing mammograms. Now you're due for this vaccine. You reach an age and then they want to start checking boxes. My thing is, you reach an age, and if you don't need vaccines, good. If you want to get them, fine. But if you're healthy and you get, like, I go get blood checked every year just to keep my finger on the pulse. And then we talk about my vitamin D is always low. I just took another 10,000 today. Yay, me. But I like to keep my pulse on my ferritin because I had that for years. It hasn't dropped in years. I feel good. But if my stress has been high, then I like to go and make sure that I'm digesting well, because if I have nutritional deficiencies on blood labs, then I know my digestion is pretty bad. So then I need to up my game. Okay. So that's how I like to look at labs. What's the information and what changes do I need to make to improve those so that I can be as healthy as I can for as long as I can, right? Okay. Because as you know, we have so many cards stacked against us with food, environmental toxins, the way we live. I mean, let's talk about all the plastics in the world. There's plastics in all the coffee cups. There's plastic in utensils. There's plastic in our clothes. There's plastic in our sheets. There's plastic in our food. Like, it's just, it's hard to outrun that. So, you have to take the bull by the horns and do everything you can every day and be consistent with that so that you at least have a running start on disease. So the first area that requires so much attention is your immune health. All disease begins in the gut. Period. End of story. I should stop the podcast right here. I'm going to say it again. All disease begins in the gut. It started there a long time ago, and it's been growing ever since. And if you aren't taking care of your gut health, you aren't taking care of your immune health. So if you're a person who gets sick a lot, or you have the chronic sinus infection, or you get strep throat, or bronchitis, or you have skin irritations, or the winter's really hard on your skin, or you frequent migraines, you have to know that you have to take care of your gut, because then you take care of your immune system. And if you can outrun a flu season without getting on an antibiotic or needing Mucinex or any of these short-term over-the-counter things, your immune system's pretty darn good, because right now the viruses are rampant, right? So immune health is at the top of the list for helping you to be as healthy as you can be for as long as you are alive, is always focusing on immune. And how do you do that? You take care of your gut, because 80% of your immune system is built in your gut. So people who have guts that are wrecked are usually sick a lot, or maybe they're stressed a lot, because stress is the second point. If you run the schedule of burning the candle at both ends, or you never say no to anything, or you have the please disease, or you all work, no play, or all play and no work. Stress is stress. And your body doesn't care if you're partying too much, working out too much, traveling too much, pleasing other people too much. Stress is stress in the body. And when your cortisol maxes out, it's like a short circuit in the body. Everything suffers. Everything. When I was super stressed, running marathons, sick and all that. And then a friend of mine passed away at my studio, and I was just newly married, and I tried to do CPR on her. She didn't live. I was 28 at the time, and it was the first real, well, my grandfather dying, but you expect your grandfather to die before. This was someone who was just 10 years older than me and actually died when I was doing CPR on her. And the stress that sent me into, the residual stress of that. I was running a business. I was teaching a lot of classes every week, like 20, running the business, just got married. And then this woman dies at my studio. So the amount of stress that came out of that, I didn't even know it. That's the thing about stress. Heavy stress. You think, oh, I'm good. No, I can do this. I'll go back to work. I'll just, and we don't really deal with it however we should, or we think we should. And so we just put it off. And then what happens is you lose your hair. I had a bald spot the size of like an egg in the back of my head. I wasn't sleeping. I was grinding my teeth. I started to lose more weight. So stress will negate everything in your life if you don't handle it. So if you have a life-changing situation, whether it's the death of someone you love, something with your family, your kids, your parents, change of jobs, losing your job, retiring can be very stressful for people. A surgery, oh my gosh, the physical trauma to your body, that's another huge stressor. So if you check any of those boxes, you have to step back and say, okay, well, I don't feel stress, because stress doesn't come knocking on your door and say, hello, I've shown up and I'll be here for the next 90 days. It comes out in different ways, and it could be sleep, hair loss, weight gain, irritability, skin irritations, migraines, inability to focus. So take a step back and deal with your stress. And here's how I suggest you do it. I suggest that you exercise in some way, and not hard, not like go and join a HIIT class. I mean like yoga, Pilates, walking, stretching, anything that calms everything down. The other thing that you can do is like perspire, like a sauna, where you literally just sit and sweat and you're not moving your body. I love to move my body, but when you are stressed, there is that fine line of exercise being part of the problem and not part of the solution. So you have to find the right mode of exercise. If going for a light run for 3 miles clears your head and makes you feel good and you're not killing yourself and it gives you more energy, then go for it. But if that run drains you and makes you crabby because you're tired, then it's not benefiting you, or it makes your back hurt or your knee hurt. You know what I mean? So it's important to find that happy medium with your exercise so that it fuels your body and clears your mind and helps you deal with your stress without you being so exhausted. Now you're on the other side of it. So immune health is number 1, through the gut. Second one is stress. Third is lifestyle. What is your lifestyle like? Are you a person who works way too much? Are you a person who doesn't like their job? What if you retired? What if you don't work, but you don't feel valued in your life? Because what we do in our everyday is what gives us value. I love my job. I love helping people. I love learning about them and finding ways and channeling ways that will help them be their healthiest so they can be happier. I love my job. I love my dogs. I love working from home. But that's for me. Some people need to be in an office. Some people love to travel. I have a niece who travels all the time, and she has 3 small kids, and she loves to travel with her job. It just works for her. I know my husband, he, when we were younger, he's been traveling our whole married life, but his best consistency with working out was when he traveled because he didn't have family interferences, right? So he could go to the workout gym in the hotel every morning, before his meetings, and he was very, very consistent. And he found that to be really, really easy. Me, I was getting up at 3:30 in the morning and going for a run before he left to go on his work trip. Or during the day, I would, leave the kids with a friend of mine or whatever, go for a run and come back. Hey, can you watch the boys for a little bit? I'm going to go for a 5-mile run, that kind of thing. So, the lifestyle that you choose, if you have it in you to make changes so that you are happy every day, one of the first things I say to myself when I open my eyes is, thank you, God, for another day, for another time I'm opening my eyes and I'm here. Thank you, God, number one. Number two, I choose a life I love. I choose a life I love. I learned that from a mindset coach about, 6-7 years ago. And I love saying that in the morning because it just anchors me in the life I love. I'm not saying my life is all rainbows and unicorns, because it's not. I'm not special. I'm not lucky. I'm none of those things. I'm just like you. But I choose a life I love. And when things go sideways in my life, I am the buffalo. I run into the storm. I don't avoid it. I don't sweep it under a rug. And I don't let people walk all over me. That doesn't happen. I will stand up for anybody, including myself. And I will do it in a way that isn't, mean, but I'm not going to let someone disrespect me. When my kids were young and they would mouth off, I would say, I'm not speaking to you like that. Don't speak to me like that. And I didn't say it that nice. I'm going to be honest. I'm an Italian mama. I was probably pretty vicious about it. My mom can be vicious. I learned it from my Sicilian mother. Listen, the only thing worse than a Sicilian mother is a Sicilian daughter who's younger and more feisty. Feistier, is that the right word? So I found my voice when I was, 18, and I started teaching aerobics and, anyway, blah, blah, blah. And I became really good at that. And I found music and movement to be my thing. And then I got into fitness, and I've been teaching group exercise since I was 18. So for me, I think that's really when I found my voice, and I found it easy to speak in front of people and lead people and be okay with that. Sometimes I talk about things I probably shouldn't talk about in my spin class, but oh well, that happens too. But the point is, when I don't agree with something or I have questions, I use my voice. And that is the thing that women especially don't do enough of. We've been told to just, be quiet, go with the flow. I remember my mom saying to me when I was going through my health challenges, oh, the doctor said this and that. And she'd say, well, just do it and don't ask questions. Just do it and don't ask questions. And I was like, I kind of said, okay, because I was young. But then I started, years later, what? You told me to do what? You know what I mean? And then as a mom, when my kids were going through some of their health challenges, I would ask the doctor why, and then I became a little more, it's hard to challenge a doctor. It's hard. And I just got a text from a client of mine who is in the ER right now getting her hand stitched up. She she cut her finger using a mandolin, right, for some sweet potatoes. And if you've ever used a mandolin, it's like a sliding blade. They're so sharp. I cut my hand, I don't know, so many times on a mandolin. Anyway, she said, she doesn't want them to weigh her. They said they need to because, in case they have to prescribe a medication. She said, oh, well, we'll cross that bridge. And then they wanted to give her a tetanus shot, and she declined it. And so she's using her voice. She's using her voice. And it's hard to do that with the medical profession because they can be bullies. They can be nice, but they can be bullies because it's their protocol. Like someone comes in with a wound from, a knife, you have to do a tetanus shot. And I remember doing the same thing. I cut I have a scar right here on my wrist. I was peeling something and I brought the knife towards me and I sliced my wrist. I needed 12 stitches. And so I went to the, ER to get stitched up, and they put 12 stitches in, and they wanted to give me a tetanus shot. And I said no. And they said, you could get tetanus. I'm like, I won't. Well, I've never gotten it. This was 15 years ago. And, but that's their protocol. And I just got asked probably a million times about that shot while I was there for, 2 hours. So in your lifestyle, use your voice, male or female, use your voice. If you don't stand up for you, who will? Who's going to stand up for you and ask questions? Who's going to stand up for you and say, don't talk to me like that? Who's going to stand up for you and say, no, I defend my position? Who's going to do that if you don't? And so I think when it comes to lifestyle, you have to honor yourself first. It's not selfish. It's called self-care. It's called self-respect. You honor yourself first and you put yourself first. Because if you don't put yourself first, why would someone else, right? Why would someone else put you first if you don't? That doesn't make any sense. And so think about the things in your life where you could put yourself first. Like, again, a lot of people, my husband didn't get me this for Christmas, or my husband didn't get me this for my birthday. I'm like, girl, go buy it. What are you waiting for? If you want him to think of it, well, give him some freaking clues. They don't know. They don't know. They don't know what they don't know. Give them some clues. I haven't met too many men that can read minds. I haven't met too many people that can read minds. They think they can. Women are more intuitive. We pay attention to the little clues and the signs and the comments, and we piece all that together, and then we can probably figure something out. Men are in the here and now. Listen, I live with all men. They're in the here and now. What you say right now, they may or not remember, but they are in the here and now, which is actually a superpower for a man, to be in the here and now and move on down the road. They can compartmentalize things. That's a superpower. Women, we dwell and we fester and we worry, and it keeps us up at night. That's also a superpower and not a superpower, because sometimes we got to take the freaking cape off and not worry. We are worriers. We are worry warts. We're worriers. We're worry warriors. Let's say that. So if you can find that place where you wake up and say, I choose a life I love, that means you are making a choice for the day to love the life you had. And if you don't like your job, make a choice. Make a choice to find something you love about it, or something to give you a reason to find a different job. And maybe you're nearing retirement. You're like, I just have a few more years. Find a way to love it, or at least tag on something to your life that you can love at the end of the day that gets you through it, to help you look forward to it, right? There are things that I don't love about my job. For example, I hate all the tech, the back end stuff of funnels and opt-in pages and sales pages and a team. Not that I don't love my team, I love my team, but just finding someone who can kind of think like me and do like me and get it done. And, it's frustrating, and all these apps are frustrating. So that's the side of it I don't love. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. And I get frustrated when people aren't successful, because I want that so bad for them. And I just wish I could just pluck myself into their life and follow them around and see what's really going on, so that I could do my magic and really give them more information. Because sometimes I don't have all the information. I'm working with what people are telling me. So I don't love all aspects of my job like you don't. But for the most part, I absolutely choose my job. I would choose it time and time again. And the other thing with lifestyle is honoring sleep. That is something that is kind of frowned upon and sometimes a weakness. I think there is more and more information about sleep and how it's okay if you're a person who sleeps. So a friend of mine had a brain aneurysm was it 2018? So many years ago. Anyway, she's a miracle that she's here. And if you know anyone who's had a brain injury, that first year is hard. And I remember her saying, I'm so tired. And then my youngest sister had a brain bleed 21 years ago. She almost died. She lived. Another miracle. There's these miracles around me. Like, how lucky am I to witness two brain miracles in my lifetime? My sister and my best friend. Like, I am so freaking lucky. So, and I'm lucky to have them both still. Like, both women came out of their brain issues pretty much the same. They might not feel the same because they know their body's best, but to me, they are the same. And both just the need to sleep and sleep and sleep. Like, the brain is running your life. Your gut's your second brain. Your brain is your first brain. So for them to need so much sleep is so common. And even now, my friend will say, oh, I'm just tired. And, and I'm always telling her, take the nap. Like, just take it. Who cares? Lay down. Well, I have this, that, and that. No. Those things can wait. Every time you sleep, you heal, even if you haven't had a brain bleed. So when you go to bed at night, it is your time to heal from the day and to prepare for the next day. So honor thy sleep the best you can. I know couples that sleep in different rooms because one is a person who snores. That's okay. You got to get your sleep. I know people who, sleep with their dogs. That works for them. I would never have my dog sleep with me because they're the size of me when they stretch out. Plus, it's all the fur. I've never been one, but let me tell you, I will lay on the floor with my dogs all day long. I don't want them in my bed, though. I'm a person, when I get into bed, I kind of picture myself just in my space. I don't need, it's the heat. It's the heat around me that I have to have it super cool. And the heat around me just keeps me awake. So make sleep your priority. Have the best sheets, have the best pillows, have the most tranquil room, have the air temperature what you want, and just make sleep like, don't mess with my sleep. I'm like a bear when I get woken up because I love my sleep. And because that's the healing part of your day. I know that. Now you know that. So look at sleep as the healing part of your day. And if you didn't sleep well last night and you sit down and you're thinking, I just want to rest my eyes, follow your body's lead. Just do it. It's okay. It doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean you're lazy. It just means you need that. That's all. Be kind to your body with your sleep, and it will be kind to you. Okay, so number 4 is what you believe. If you believe that when you turn 40, 50, 60, 70, that you're in the doom and gloom era of disease, you're probably going to get that. But if you believe every day I'm aging gracefully and I feel good and I'm seizing the day, then that's what you're going to get. And if you want to be healthy, you will be. And if you want to move more, you will. And if you want to go for a walk, you will. You have to believe that you were meant to be healthy, not just when you're young, but your whole life. And pray, and believe that when your time comes to move on from this lifetime, that your body will just close your eyes and go. And outrunning disease is kind of the mantra, or being a sitting duck. And if you watch the news, you'll feel like you're a sitting duck for everything, right? Turn the news off, right? Turn it off. Walk away from it. Do something else. But believe that your body was meant to be that way, and believe that everything you do that is healthy for your body is paying off. Every time you go for that walk, every time you reach for water, versus an alcoholic drink. Every time you get more sleep, every time you say no to somebody when you have the please disease, like it's like a little deposit for your health. It's a little deposit, a little insurance for what you're doing. Because I always say, like, I didn't sign up for that. I didn't sign up to do all this health and fitness for most of my life and to just have, just to surrender to disease. I'm not doing that. I did not sign up for that. Now, when disease does hit, but you still have to have the same mantra. When you get that diagnosis or whatever it is, immune health. I've got to take care of my immunities. I've got to take care of my stress. I've got to make sure my lifestyle aligns with me and keeps me happy. And I have to believe there's a way out of this. So all those things still fall into place. Whether you're battling something physically, mentally, emotionally, or you're just doing your life and you don't have to battle anything right now. I think kind of everybody's in a battle of something. If you're not, you must not have anything to do with people. Because when you're with people, you bring on their shit. You just do. I mean, I can talk to my son at college and he can tell me something that's going on and immediately I'm plucked into his stress. I can talk to my son who just got a new job and immediately I'm pulled in. My son that just got married and his job is super busy and he says, I don't have enough time to rest and I'm so busy. And I don't know if I can get off this, and I'm pulled into that, or Jim and his travel schedule, or Leo and his cancer, or Rocky and his jackassery. He usually starts the jackassery, by the way. Or my son who's at chiropractic school and, all that. If I didn't have all of those people and pets in my life, I would just probably focus on my own stress and make my own problems. So the point is, take to heart immune health, your stress level, your lifestyle, and your belief. And make sure that all four of those are healthy aspects in your life, pillars, if you will, pillars. And then you can be confident knowing you're doing everything you need to do. And then when you go to the doctor, you can feel confident because you feel good. And look, I'm going to tell you this right now. Like, the body doesn't lie. When you get blood labs that say you're normal and you feel like shit, something's wrong. Something's not right. They're just not picking up the labs that you see there. I don't know what it is, but maybe they can't test for it. Maybe they've missed it. Go get another opinion. Keep going till you get answers. But the other side is, like, if you feel great and then they say, well, your vitamin D is low, well, you'll never know that your vitamin D is low unless you get sick all the time. Or you get your labs back and you feel great and the doctor's like, yeah, but this one, it's still in the range, but it's a little low. Okay, now you got to up your game. But energy in the body doesn't lie. That's the best way to know that you are doing all that you can do when you're sleeping good and you have steady energy. That's how you know you're kind of checking all the boxes. That's at least what I think. Because there are days when my energy is really low because I didn't sleep well. Because Mr. Leo Garrett, my dog, was up panting and we had to let him out multiple times. And he didn't feel good and had to lay with him and all that stuff. Had to give him something to eat. Then the next day, I'm kind of wrecked. But rightfully so, because when I take, one of those pillars away, like sleep, which falls under lifestyle and engages, and makes stress go up, now my stress is through the roof. I'm trying to get through my job for the next day. And whatever else I have to do in my life, but I'm working with a very low battery. One of my sons used to say, Mom, you need your batteries changed. And I was always like, gosh, that's kind of a good way to put it. I just need to plug myself in and recharge. And one of the best ways you can do that is sleep. That's how you recharge. So I hope this lands with you. Let me know. Share it with a friend. Hello to everybody in the Council Bluffs mailroom. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for listening. Joe, it's good to see you when you pop in sometimes. I'm not going to say who, but just good to see you. And yeah, let me know what you guys think. Leave a review, share it. And I cannot wait to catch up with you next time. I've got some guests coming up. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be good. And yeah, apply your 4 pillars. Because just remember, you are meant to be as healthy as you are your whole life, not just part of your life, but your whole life. Until next time, take care.
Hey, before you go, would you like to receive my ultimate gut repair guide for free? This guide has everything you need to know about leaky gut, what's causing it, how it's affecting your daily life, a meal plan, and 5 ways you can start healing your gut today. This is the same framework that my VIP clients use when they start healing their gut. It's amazing. All you have to do is leave an honest review of Let's Talk Shit, screenshot it, share it to your Instagram stories, and tag me at Lisa Garrett Nutrition. I hope today's episode inspired you to make some shit happen in your life because you're freaking awesome. And I cannot wait to connect with you next time on Let's Talk Shit.